Have you ever wanted to say something so precise that the other person just goes silent? Not with shouting, not with insults, but with pure intelligence. Picture being in the center of an argument and, with a single statement, causing the other person to lower their voice, look at you a different way, and have nothing else to say. Today, I will reveal 5 responses that are so powerful that if you use them, they silence everyone. It does not matter if you're talking to a boss, a problematic family member, or a person who just wants to have their way. These responses not only protect you but also put you in a position of power without losing your calmness. Stay with me until the end, because you are going to want to practice every single one of them, and when you use them, you will notice the silence. Every person at a certain point has felt that frustration. You are saying something reasonable, genuine, and necessary, but the other person simply is not listening. And worse, they look to be winning the argument, not because they are actually right, but because they shout louder, interrupt quicker, or attack more forcefully. In modern society, strength is usually associated with volume, belief with imposition, and respect with fear. But that is not respect, it's brief power. And real power is not about forcing your will but about presenting yourself with such conviction and control that the other individual has no choice but to listen. Response 1: I don't have to raise my voice to be right. There are moments when someone raises their voice, thinking that it gives them greater authority. They shout, rudely interrupt, force themselves, and expect you to behave the same. But if you fall into that trap, you have already lost. This statement is a perfect way to walk out of the chaos without leaving the conversation. Imagine a meeting, an argument at home, or simply a conversation on the street. The other individual raises their voice, aiming to control the situation. And you, rather than responding with the same fire, maintain control and say gently, I don't have to raise my voice to be right. It's a statement that not just stops the attack but delivers a clear message. You don't play in an environment of emotional confrontation. You play in an environment of mental domination. In that moment, the person listening understands that something has changed. You are no longer arguing. You are dominating. Stoicism taught that self-control is not repression. It is a genuine strength. Epictetus once said, "He who cannot control his tongue will be a slave to his emotions." And that's precisely what you are showing with your response. You don't have to shout since your reasoning is enough. You don't need to impose yourself since your confidence already does it for you. This statement not just silences the person who shouts but also opens the eyes of the people around you. Because when you talk with confidence in the middle of a storm, everybody realizes who holds the real power. Response 2: How you talk says more about you than it does about me. If someone attacks you with mockery or contempt, the most tempting thing is to respond in a polite way. But that is where many individuals lose. This statement is like a clean mirror. It does not respond with hostility. It does not defend with desperate intent. It just mirrors what the other individual is showing. The way you talk says more about you than it does about me. By just saying this, you turn off the venom in their statements because you are not insulting them. You are not seeking validation, and you are not accepting their game. Imagine you are in an argument and somebody makes a rude comment. You could strike back, but instead, you look at them gently and say that statement. And then something unexpected occurs. They hear themselves, and in doing that, they feel the burden of their own words. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who caused the damage." And this statement is the perfect translation of that concept. You not only maintain your peace but also force the other individual to deal with their own disrespect. Additionally, there is an important lesson here. When you don't react as they expect, you flip the script. And when you flip the script, you change the dynamic. This statement is for people who decided not to stoop, not to give in, and not to allow the mentality of other people to define who they are. The Stoics understood this more than 2,000 years ago. Epictetus, who was born a slave and ended up teaching insight to the powerful in Rome, said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to it that is important." And this concept has tremendous depth, since what truly describes your personality and the respect other people give you is not what you encounter, but how you react to what you experience. In the setting of an argument, that means a single thing very clearly: you don't have to shout to win. You need to respond with accuracy. Marcus Aurelius ruled a whole empire without losing his calm. And he didn't do it because he was weak. He did it because he understood that someone who controls himself controls the situation at hand. His calmness was his weapon, his discipline, his strength. Nowadays, we live in a society that favors fast reactions, impulsive perspectives, and rude responses. But anyone who learns to respond with wisdom becomes an anomaly, someone unique. And that's the kind of individual others listen to, regardless of whether they disagree. Seneca said, "To talk in anger is like shooting an arrow without aiming." A ridiculous statement can destroy a relationship, shut a door, or make you lose the respect that was so difficult to earn. So, what you are about to learn are not statements intended to embarrass the other person. They are weapons to protect your dignity with sophistication, establish boundaries without violence, and make even your most furious critics fall mute. Because when you talk with clarity, calmness, and confidence, you are no longer arguing. You are dominating. Response 3: Let's talk when we can do it respectfully. Certain conversations are not conversations. They are attacks masked as dialogue. The other individual interrupts, raises their voice, proclaims their reality, and wants you to keep up. But you don't have to take part in an illicit game. This statement is not a retreat. It's a declaration of beliefs. Let's talk when we can do it respectfully. It's straightforward, mature, and firm. You are not running away. You are raising the standard. Imagine you're having an argument with somebody who will not allow you to finish your thought. They interrupt you over and over again. Their voice is forceful. Rather than intensifying the tension, you pause. You take deep breaths and say gently, "Let's talk when we can do it respectfully." At that point, you change the axis of the conversation. It's no longer about the matter being discussed. It's about the minimum criteria needed for conversations to have value. This type of response, according to Epictetus, is a mirror of self-mastery. He said you cannot control what other people do, but you can control what you accept. And by saying this statement, you are making it clear what you accept and what you don't. Response 4: I would prefer not to continue this conversation. There are times when continuing to talk is meaningless. The other individual is not listening and doesn't want to understand. They just want to win, even though it's at the cost of hurting you. And this is where this statement becomes your shield: I'd prefer not to continue this conversation. It's simple, it's straightforward, and it's incredibly powerful. It doesn't ask for approval. It doesn't justify itself. It just puts an end to it. Imagine having a conversation with someone who keeps provoking you. Every word they say is filled with venom, and you feel your tolerance wearing thin. Rather than exploding, you take a deep breath, look at them with calmness, and say, "I prefer not to continue this conversation." This statement has an instant effect. It cuts the negative dynamic at the root. And perhaps most significantly, it gives you back control. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Choose not to be hurt, and you will not feel hurt." And when you choose not to continue, you are safeguarding your vitality, your concentration, and your self-worth. This is not giving up. It's deciding that your peace of mind is worth more than having the last say. And whoever sees you do it understands that you're not dodging conflict, you're moving above it. Response 5: That's your point of view, and I respect it, but I don't agree with it. Not all arguments are with adversaries. In certain instances, they are with friends, co-workers, or family members who insist on forcing their viewpoint on you. They do it with good intentions, but without knowing it, they cross your boundaries. And that's when you need a statement that defines your stance with respect, but without giving in. That's your point of view, and I respect it, but I do not agree with it. It's a response that doesn't confront, but it does clarify. It's like saying, "I understand you, I respect you, but I have my own judgment." Imagine someone close to you keeps on convincing you of a certain thing, a decision you don't want to make, a viewpoint you disagree with, or a judgment you don't feel is fair. Rather than arguing point after point or remaining mute to prevent tension, you tell them in a strong, calm voice, "That's your opinion, and I respect it, but I don't agree with it." What follows is wonderful. The other individual is forced to accept your opinion with no room to oppose it because you're not dismissing their perspective. You're just validating your own.